Las construcciones reflexivas. These are reflexive verbs. Look at the two sets of drawings. La fiesta los despierta. Okay, who are we talking about? This couple. La fiesta los despierta. The party wakes them up. Alberto la acuesta. Alberto, that means to put to bed, and her. Alberto puts her to bed. Beatriz lo lava. Beatriz lava el carro. Beatriz lo lava. These are all instances of something or someone doing something to someone else or to something else. Down here, Raúl y Gloria se despiertan. There's a sun there, but it doesn't say that the sun woke them up, but it's saying that they woke up. Alberto se acuesta. Here he put his daughter to sleep. He put her to bed. Here he puts himself into bed. Beatriz se lava. Here she is washing something else. Here she's washing herself. For reflexive verbs, you do something to yourself or they do something to themselves. Okay. Unfortunately, you only have examples here with se and well, there are a whole bunch of other reflexive pronouns. And as usual, you have the greatest hits, me, te, and nos. And the ones that are different are third person, singular, third person, plural. And those are all se. On this page, you got a whole bunch of vocab. And you also have an indication under some of these telling you what the different changes are. Okay. For words that only have two changes, like here, okay, this one and this one, you make these changes in the present tense. The E changes to IE, this E changes to IE in the present tense. This O changes to UE in the present tense. Okay. For these other verbs that have two changes, this O changes to UE in the present, this I changes to I in the present. So everything except, for all of these changes, anything except nosotros, vosotros will change in the present. This you is only going to come up in the third person. Okay. Third person, singular and plural in the preterite. Okay, let me show you. Dormí, dormiste, durmió. Dormimos, durmieron. It's probably in the section irregular preterite verbs, but I just didn't remember if it was there or not. Okay, me dormí. Sorry, this is the reflexive version. te dormiste, se durmió, nos dormimos, se durmieron. Okay, so you see, only here do you see that you that was indicated over here. Okay, so this last one is for the preterite. This last one is for the preterite. Okay, and this word can mean a couple different things. If it's not reflexive, it means to sleep. Dormir is to sleep. Dormirse is to fall asleep. So you're in your dorm right now, you look over at your bro and he's sleeping, you would say él duerme. If you're telling somebody what time your bro sleeps every night, él se duerme, or what time he falls asleep, él se duerme a las 3 de la mañana. So that's he falls asleep, and that's he sleeps, or he is sleeping right now. Vestirse and this one is very often a reflexive verb. A lot of these reflexive verbs can be used in ways that are not reflexive. This one can be, but usually it's used like this. Okay. Let's look at the preterite form. Me vestí, te vestiste, se vistió. Okay. Same thing, third person, singular and plural, has this change to the letter, to this letter. Nos vestimos, se vistieron. Now, another thing I should tell you about reflexive verbs is that even though you can kind of figure out that yes, the person is doing this thing to him or herself, I'm doing it to myself, that's superfluous in English. I'm shaving, you wouldn't think to say I'm shaving myself. I'm bathing, you could say I'm bathing myself, but normally you wouldn't. You might bathe yourself, you might bathe the baby, but you wouldn't have to specify myself. Okay, and for some things in Spanish, it might be kind of obvious why you would use a reflexive verb, and in other cases, it might not be so obvious. Like to get nervous, the way we think about it in Spanish, it's like you get yourself nervous. Okay, for some of these other expressions, these verbs with maybe an adjective, for example, let's practice that one. So just an extra word there. Okay. Ponerse, and the example they have is nervioso. Okay, to get, to become. Me pongo nervioso. Me pongo nervioso durante los exámenes. Okay, so I get nervous during exams. Okay. Nos ponemos gordos si comemos mucho timeout. If we eat a lot of timeout, we get fat. Okay, so it's not just this kind of mental state, it could also be a physical state. And another expression, let's see. Okay, something like this. Don't forget that after a preposition, you're gonna have to use. Well, if you use a verb, it's gonna have to be an infinitive. You could say, and remember this is O to UE. Me acuerdo de su nombre. I remember her name. How about preterite? Te acordaste, no UE change. Okay, this only has two changes. There's no third change for the preterite. Te acordaste de comprar la leche. You remembered to buy the milk. So if you have a verb after a preposition, make sure it's an infinitive.